wanted to show them all my grow-ups and all the airplanes that I had and stuff, how I got all the marijuana distributed all throughout the world, and that I wasn't just some joke. I said I'm way bigger than you could have possibly imagined, and a scary, scary guy that wrestles for fun as a hobby, just because I wanted to have something to do to launder my money. You look in the mirror and you always believe you're going to have this time to do. I always had a vision of Teddy Hart on TV. And it just kept getting less and less, but I always kept seeing it. Now I'm looking at that vision and I'm wondering if I'm delusional. If I lost my fucking mind and I'm just trying to hold on to something because that's what's been keeping me going for all these years like a robot. So when I got back to WWE at 27, I thought there was a setup to never use me, to basically fire me just to make me quit pot and me run around and set up rings and do all of the shit that I would think me a third generation guy who had been doing it already on the road. I've been wrestling indie shows, setting up rings, doing all this stuff for 12 years. It's not that. It's a matter of Triple H. Does he have a storyline that I deserve to get? Because if they give me, whatever they give me is going to be fucking gold. Do I deserve it? And that's the thing is, it's not a matter of is Teddy Hart going to be a big star? Of course I'll be a big star. Do you want me to be a big star? Do you have the control over me to have me go out and do things without you guys, the control? Why do you like a certain kind of dog? Because the dog listens, it's obedient. So I've been walking to meet this goal someday, and I realized maybe the goal is never going to be there. I'm never going to be in WWE. That hit me, though, in a mirror, and I realized if I don't do something now to change the whole thing, I'm never going to make it. Later, there'll be a time and place if I'm good enough, and I believe I'm that good in wrestling and I'm that good of an athlete where I'll just appear in 6 months from now, and as you said, I will wipe the floor with the guys that thought they were better than me because they still haven't caught me. I'm like a robot now, where now the reality of the robot is kicking in, where the program I've been told is a lie. And I was a wrestler that was given too much talent and ability in an area where nobody progressed fast enough to get up to me. My closest competition was Shawn Michaels, and he didn't want to wrestle me because he knew evolution was evolution. Shawn Michaels is going to look like an old man. That it was basically me just saying, if I don't stick it up wrestling's ass as an athletic sport, that this needs to change right now. This is the Ring of Honor controversy. Wrestling is going to stay with guys like Steve Corino doing a headlock takeover for 20 minutes and sucking these promoters out of money. I wanted it to change. I wanted it to be cool again. Then some guy named The Rock came on TV, and he was cool. And Stone Cold was cool, but they didn't wrestle. Get in serious ring shape and give Kevin Nash like $100,000 out of my own pocket to walk me to the ring in WWE for a year. To this day, he put me on TV in a year from now against The Rock or against John Cena or against Shawn Michaels, and I'm a jacked, juiced up with a prescription testosterone replacement, not smoking pot. Then is it going to affect me getting a job in WWE? Me smoking or not smoking? Not a chance. If WWE wants Teddy Hart, they'll let me smoke pot. And also a near-death experience with just the fact that Teddy Hart almost lost his career. Like, there's no more time for me. And I did nothing. They're bringing me back to see if I can do what I said I could do. The guys were scared to evolve. Now that it's evolved, what are you scared of me for? My mouth? You used to be scared of me doing too many moves. Then you'd say it was my mouth. Now it's my mouth. And the moves don't mean anything, right? And Brett pissed off a lot of guys that had the Hart name in their mouths, and they were going to spit on the Hart name rather than chew it and turn it into something that tasted good, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that's where now Brett's back, but he's not controlling anything. He's just there. So they can still make money with him, but they've already had their Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels big thing. So I watched him when I was 18, 19, 20, and I trained with him. I had his very first match with him. That's why we were friends. And I said, I was a better athlete than you then, and I'm a better athlete than you now, and you cut me out of wrestling. Guys like you were scared to have me go out and do what I did because you could barely handle learning wrestling as a sport, let alone learning 50 new moves that I was doing. What made you not like me, later on you'll go, he had to have something against him because there was no way he was going to get in, otherwise he already proved it. I got in doing moves, guys, didn't mean shit. I got in athletic ability, didn't mean shit. I got in with the biggest name in wrestling history, didn't mean shit, because he can't control me. I'm not going to show up every single time like The Rock. And they said that made us think that you actually had a conscience and that you were still able to be saved. Because you are on a planetary level a dangerous person. If you go completely sour, you sell marijuana like a warrior champion. You'll argue and fight and battle all the time with marijuana should be sold too. I get to go back to my city where no one even knows I wrestle. Mm-hmm. No one watches Jersey All Pro or Ring of Honor in Calgary. Wrestling's dead in Calgary. There's life. He loved wrestling, put everything he ever had into it, and when he was on top, wrestling was on top. It was really good. We made a lot of money. Bravo picked it up. I think it was first Discovery Channel picked it up. Then Bravo got it after, and right when they were about to sign the deal, fairly big deal, those girls hit the newspapers with confinement and extortion and whatever, rape and whatever the charges were. My dad's a very smart, strict business cop kind of guy, right? And he knows he's got a wild son of a bitch on his hands with me for up until about maybe 4 years ago, right? Then I started really trying to make it easier on my dad. I saw my dad as a guy that instead of fast forwarding his heart attack and trying to get some early inheritance off of him, do the work on the planet and keep him alive long enough to see you do something good with your life. Life is life and time is time. And when you start to realize the time you have wasted or not said the right things to people, you feel shitty. My conscience started driving me nuts. All the guys in wrestling that I wanted to say something to, like, sorry, they know me as a pot guy or a guy that's friends with a lot of cops or knows tons of hot chicks and owns a gym. So when I tell people I'm in New York wrestling, they're like, yeah, they kind of nod their head, and they have no idea that I'm doing, the biggest wrestling show New York indie wrestling has out there in Canada and the United States. There's no other shows bigger than usually the PWS show or like Jersey All Pro is pretty big for indie shows. Know yourself, like Bruce Lee said. He goes, at least something that I've taught you over the years. Watch all the movies you watched, the Bruce Lee movies. Did you learn anything about know yourself? It's the evolution of wrestling. It's all I've been talking about is the evolution of wrestling. This is a place when you've done, in my eyes, like you reached a certain level on the indies and you've done enough, then you get the gratification like American Dragon of being a WWE star. But how many guys were really indie stars before they went to WWE? And I'm getting sick of watching these wrestlers saying less is more, less is more, less is more. I said, no, it's not less is more. There's a way of doing it with psychology, but giving them everything that Ricochet and Will Ospreay gave them. This is what Teddy Hart's been crying about for 10 years. Wrestling needs to change. It needs to become more high spot orientated, harder hitting, better spots, better choreographing, and innovation of cool shit, and change the ring. It's not about high flying. Guys go, it's high flying, change wrestling. I said, no, it didn't. It's psychology. Choreographing changed wrestling. It's knowing when the fans want to see something and knowing when to give them that move and when to take it away or tease them, then boom. And the wrestlers that are in wrestling now are so good at knowing when to do their high spots and how to place them for this new fan. Taking 10 years off to be the most controversial bomb in wrestling. To go, guys, athletically, Ricochet and Will Ospreay just caught me and Jack Evans now. I've been doing this stuff for 10 years, the same moves, and they still haven't done it as clean as me. So 15 years of good wrestling left in me, and whoever's got the time and energy to get behind me, I put the same thing back into that company. It's my life on the line. I try to do more than anyone else ever did before me to create a certain controversy and a style that's copied and continued and changes the way wrestling looks at. And in the future, wrestling's entertaining because I think guys like me and Jack Evans and a bunch of other guys sacrificed their bodies. Is Teddy Hart one of the best wrestlers on the planet still? Has time passed me by? And that's hopefully you buy a ticket to watch and see my failure or my success. Without you, I had no purpose. Indie wrestling is so important now that I don't have to be in WWE to make it as a world superstar. I can be an indie wrestler that Rolling Stones talks about. What if I was a secret architect of wrestling and I always wanted wrestling to be that business that I could get into at the very end as the worst, most controversial guy ever, and then when people see what I really was, they go, man, that guy made us all watch him though, that one time. There's nobody in wrestling that you want to see more fall on his face or watch that first time than Teddy. And if wrestling's good again, they're going to be hooked on watching Dynamite Kid Tiger Mask, which is two light heavyweight guys again. Where that's the style that Triple H knows that's what's selling tickets. And that's why there's a light heavyweight tournament right now. I wasn't getting any more input. The allure of Teddy Hart was starting to go down. So what was the new thing? Was Teddy Hart brought a cat to the ring and was trying to be reliable. There's no Rey Mysterio Jr., there's no Kidman, there's no Dean Malenko, there's no Fit Finlay, there's no... All those guys, all are on WCW. The business changed, and the fact that wrestling got so good again, the athletes, I wanted to get behind them again. So now it's like finding a way to raise $10 million behind the scenes again to make sure there's another show like Lucha Underground on in Canada. And if you guys don't change it and build a feeder system for the guys to train and do something with before they get there, you guys will have no future. And now you see what I think the future of wrestling is NXT, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, your show, those type of shows. I get the next group of guys out of wherever they're at into dojos. Like NXT, I claim I'm like responsible for NXT. I have to be, because I used to tell Triple H and Shawn and Vince and that you're pissing on the crop ahead of you. You're pissing on the seed. And if you guys piss on the seed, then you feed the seed to the fans. In the future, the fans are going to get sick with contaminated fucking crop. No one wants to eat shitty wrestling. I'm a drug dealer, hustler, come from nothing.